you go to Korea, as this would be Dormion's first time, Violet's being multiple times, that you get to really experience a different kind of league. The individual skill that you get to experience when you go to Korea versus like the Oceanic solo queue is quite insane. Like, you're going to be versing the same caliber of players from Challenger and O's that you would in like Low Master Korea. And the player base is just, you know, so much larger, so you get a wider array of like, you know, different players, different champion pools, different experiences that you can all bring back to our region, you know, and hopefully become a better player.
Hopefully you can become a better player. Obviously those lessons do eventually taper off because you're not a product of that environment anymore. But maybe one day when we're super old and have become boomers and we're washed up from doing League of Legends anymore, maybe the internet will become that extreme that you can play anywhere in the world with zero lag. One can dream, we can pray, we can hope. But for the meantime, let's talk about this series here. Let's sort of touch on the comps, their identities, what they're looking to try and find as their win conditions. Let's start with Bliss first. Obviously, we touched on that the Nidalee's going to have an incredibly quick clear compared to that of the Maokai, but you were a little bit critical of this Yone. Do the other lanes look better to you?
Yeah, well, minus the Jax lane, I think that, you know, bot lane's completely fine in this matchup. We saw how well it went for Ground Zero in our last series. I think it's going to be pretty similar in this game, even though Ion are a bit more proficient as a bot lane. I think I'd give them, you know, the expertise gap. I think this mid laner can be pretty hard to play. We just see Jovi starting out with a W here, which is very nice to see. He's abusing the Q cooldown that Harry went for onto the minion there, getting a little bit of a chunk, you know, keeping the wave much more neutral because his E isn't auto-pushing the wave.
Certainly is. It's always a consideration, right, of the Tristana matchup, given that you don't want to be passively pushing, but you can't avoid it if you do go in for that CS thing. Let's see if Jovi can be that explosive mid laner that we've seen time and time again. Was the MVP in their last matchup and gave us an interview, actually, in that one as well to bolster his prowess. But Harry, obviously a veteran in the scene, has copped a few bans in this draft phase, decided, no, I just want more AD damage. Don't need to play those control mages this time. So no doubt we'll be spending a big portion of our time looking towards mid. As for top, you mentioned that the Jax should be falling behind. Is it as simple as just saying the ranged mismatch of Kennen makes it difficult?
Yeah, it's just hard for Jax to find the windows to, you know, trade aggressively because he can't jump in. He's going to get stunned consistently. If Doraemon does a good job spacing him, he can just keep harassing every time he goes for CS. It's also very hard to gank Kennen, which is probably like the main thing about this matchup, is like most times you see Jax counters just, you know, fall over to the jump, counter-strike with the jungle gank, but, you know, Kennen with access to the Lightning Rush can easily navigate the gank.
And he certainly can. We'll see if that were to come to a head in a second, as Kevy already level 3 double buff, looking for his first gank of the game. Explosive shot is already teed up and ready to go, and with Jovi just hanging on, he gets first blood. How has he done that, Tally? 15 health. That's the difference.
He has just got away with murder there. That should have been a kill going over to Bliss, you know, with the execute coming out in Nidalee plus that red buff tick, but unfortunately the red buff didn't tick that one time, and Kevy thought he had the auto attack, goes into tower range and falls down himself.
Oh, an absolute nightmare now. You've just given across double buffs to a ranged Tristana, a little bit of a nightmare. You see a top lane for a second, potentially a gank taking place there, but then back to the bot lane we look as well. Nothing separating these two at this stage. No barrier on this occasion, no heal either. Double cleanse, because there is just so much CC in this game, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the one saving grace that Bliss had in this game is pretty easy to gank the Tristana when you have access to the double flash. But now that they've blown both of them, as we'll see Kevy hovering around bot, I don't really expect to see anything here. They're gonna, you know, play range and it'll be a bit safe. They should feel like Kevy's around here. We see the mid jungle bot coming down here as flashes forward.
Well, Hex Flash, true to his name, wanted to get Hex Flash up and available as quickly as possible, so he just burns the normal flash just to try and get a little bit crazy and clever with it. Tried to have his little MLG moment, but wasn't to take place, so I suppose he's been embarrassed on that occasion. But either way, that's one less summoner, one bit of pressure that Kevy can find for free as we pop back into mid lane and see just how damaging it is for Harry to try and navigate this matchup now.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on the fact that there aren't flashes in this matchup anymore means that like it's very easy for Tristana to survive any ganks. And in the 1v1, she has double buff. She's going to do a much better job with the item lead that she has to be able to, you know, constantly harass the Yone and, you know, build up a lead and make
bit of a mute point.
I think it's really important to make sure your bot lane can play this game. Like, it's Kennen will do really well like by himself. Actually, I can't remember what like, it doesn't matter. But it's really important that we make sure bot lane can play this game because Kennen is going to do really good in the 1v1 and be able to even stop Nidalee probably in the 1v2 scenario because you don't really want to run into a slicing maelstrom as Kennen's going to, you know, be able to get priority, walk towards the river and shut down that vision control that Nidalee might be able to grab from Maokai sitting on the bot side, making sure that bot lane isn't having a rough time.
Certainly do hear your fair share of supports and AD carries say, I need the resources, I need to be the star of the show. This is my meta. Hexflash being ready. LOL-APAC looking for the Zenith play. Just out of range. Jovi surrounded by 3 members, both sides of the lane, looking to threaten the gank. He says, get away. I have no flash. I'm just going to buffer the rocket jump. You're wasting your time by paying me a visit.
Yeah, so this is how the trade's going to go. We see Harry hitting his entire combo onto the Tristana, but he's just eating the explosive shot back. He's losing so much health. It's going to get even worse from this point. He doesn't have the gank pressure because we've seen like the map changes to mid lane. The lane is so much wider. It's so much harder to get the jump onto mid laners because of the size of the lane, especially on a champion who's as mobile as Tristana. So it's good to see Jovi is navigating these ganks so well. Looks like he's very, very comfortable in this matchup.
Certainly is very comfortable, even more so knowing that he's got a support shadowing his position. Just out of vision right now with Kevy also hovering. For good reason too, should Hexflash be there. But Coley, much to my previous discussion, if mid is winning, if top is pushing, then surely these grubs become that much more attractive. Yes, you put maybe your bot lane further behind because they get access then to the dragon, but I think both teams ultimately are not too upset with what they're able to find.
Yeah, it's just the classic, like, you can have first dragon. We don't think it's really too important. They get grubs, they're pushing lanes, they can get a lot of value out of this, but the dragon isn't finished yet, and we see Ion collapsing here. Are they going to go for the fight?
They are. They're looking for it. LOL-APAC starts things off, then Kevy goes in for the pounce, for the kill, for the flash that disengages to keep Coley alive. Hexflash joins the fight. Priority number 1 is lock down Violet, but as he hooks himself in, Styx is in no position to assist. The dragon is wailing away on him. It will reset eventually. And neither side is able to find much more than just a single kill.
Zobi couldn't move Skimmy. He tried to go in there. He throws the explosive shot out. He tries to go for the jump onto the Nidalee to finish the kill, but he just can't move. He gets locked up by the Leona Caitlyn combo, and he falls down. And he's the most important member in these skirmishes. He can really take over the game if he has access to these squishy champions.
He certainly can. One reset is all it takes. Let's run it back with the replay once again. It's all about Coley trying to get vision, but then the instant aggression from LOL-APAC.
Yeah, I think Coley's just a bit too far ahead of his team, and then, Jovi just walks into the range of a Leona. You just eat the stun in the face. You get hit with a trap combo. You can't jump out of there. You can't get the kill that you wanted, and it just lights out from that point.
Yeah, the buster shot away looks nice, but it's not helping you when you're already dead and done by that point. So, bit of a rough start for their first little inclination of what a skirmish could be. You can see checking back into top lane, 20 CS is the deficit now found by Biopemper on this Jax, and another chance for Harry to try and be aggressive with that slingshot across, but it's going to take a little bit more than just that to try and find the kill at this stage. You're probably waiting for that first major item to come through, and then, land that Fate Seal to get the job done.
A key point I want to mention in this game is the 10-minute mark. When these Unleashed TPs come on, like the Kennen TP will come back up, I want to see how they use it. I want to see if they're going to go for a TP flank in bot lane and really explode the game. Because I believe Doraemon will be able to get the TP advantage in the isolated 1v1. And if they will use this TP, to snowball the game rather than to grow his own 1v1 lead.
What would we be looking for to almost give us that kind of, that insight that they might be looking for? Is Hexflash going to go on a bit of a magical journey, looking to try and plant some very deep vision?
Well, most of the time, we look at Bliss's bot lane, they've been pushing quite a lot. They're respecting here because they feel like, Coley's in the area, and at the moment, Clef isn't hovering, so they're not playing the pushed away. But very cheeky thing you can do is just drop a ward, like, pretty much anywhere. It's hard to sweep, like, the halfway points in the lane. And, if Bliss decide to play a bit aggressive, push up the lane, go for some turret plates, you just hit them with a TP flank.
Let's just do a little cheeky alcove ward, eh? They'll never sweep that one, surely, guys. Let's see what happens, because Kevy now has finally rocked up to say, look, guys, you're safe. You can push, you can crash, you can play a little bit more aggressive in this matchup. And I think that's sort of to be expected. Hexflash has really disrespected his AD carry there, not soaking up the ace in the hole, but, we'll forgive you on this occasion.
It happens. Everyone gets one. See, heavy trading going on in mid.
A bit of heavy trading, isn't it? Still Harry unable to find that moment to strike to go for the true solo bowler. And I think it's fair as well, because every single time we've checked into mid lane, if it's not a jungler, it's a support, everybody just tends to roam up to make matters worse. This time the buffer is good, the Solar Flare gets flashed out of, and the turnaround from the Maokai ult is good for the meantime. Hexflash joins in, he goes for a flash of his own to try and get the fight started, but the depth charge is nice, the hook doesn't connect. And that's critical, because the Fate Seal can now land for free. But Harry respects it, instantly disengages that, doesn't want to do much more than just that. And I tell you what, Tally, nobody dies. It's just a whole bunch of fireworks going off.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of abilities going out, but absolutely nothing happening. We see like the Flash Nolo ult, the Flash Yone ult, the Flash Leona combo, but like no one is falling down. And I think that this would probably favor the Ion side. Like, they don't really mind about blowing the summoners on the Tristana. Like, it's so important that Yone has Flash to be able to escape the heavy CC coming out of the gank pressure from Ion.
So at this point then, 10 minutes in, it is a dead even game. A single kill between both these teams. The gold, no difference in that regard as well. And the objectives only now starting to show a potential building point for them to work themselves around. And yeah, these slow games become an interesting one because the mid to late game can certainly favor that with the more experience. As Harry baits a lot of attention as he jumps back to his soul. And they look to say, well, the second spawning of the Void Grubs, how much do we actually want to put towards this? Because the AD carries are locked in lane, and I tell you what, Doraemon, HP check, 10 health, and he's got away.
Yeah, Bio has got, you know, he's got 9 points, he's got 5 points, 9 levels, he's got 5 points to the W, he's got his no tread, he feels much more comfortable trading now, and he's found a very favorable trade. Doraemon doesn't have access to the TP yet, so they're going to lose his Grubs because of that. Something to touch on as well is Jovi's picked up his one item already, so he's power spike, he's ready to fight. Harry's still scaling, you know, he had to go for the early vamp, he didn't get to go for the double combat items in the recurve bow and the pickaxe, so he's going to most likely go for the Bork first, which is the current, you know, popular Yone build to make up for the bit of that early game strength he lost by Lethal Tempo being removed from the game.
It's a good point. I'll tell you what, I do not miss when we used to see tank Yone, right? It was like Blade Rune King into Sunfire Kate plus whatever else afterwards. You're thinking, how can a tank, or how can a champion be this tanky, but do so much damage? And I tell you what, Jovi will be very happy doing damage because he's got that Kraken Slayer. So obviously both love Crit Strike, but they're not going to find it at the start.
I would hope to see Jovi go for the IE second. I think that, like, you know, the old classic Tristana build of the Kraken into the Flicker Blades was what we used to see, but, you know, with that item being changed into a Zeal item, it doesn't give you the AD anymore. I think that if you go for the Kraken Flicker Blades, you don't really have damage. And I would really like to see the IE come in second and then the Flicker Blades third to, you know, make, to really enhance the crit that you have there.
Yeah, you're doing tons and tons of damage, and you're not much more than just a like a turret shredding bot if you've just got pure attack speed at that point, right? So let's see what he decides to itemize in for that second moment of the game. Collector now picked up here by Violet, the go-to for these Caitlyn's nowadays. And we're just really waiting for that one true bit of explosion. It's not without them trying. They certainly had their moments to strike, but unable to find the usual levels of success they'd find in other games.
Yeah, we definitely see Bliss being very proactive on the map, but like, I think a lot of this is just
situation.
To a certain extent, yeah. Like, you can, there's always like foreign scenarios you're going to be put on stage that you can never really prepare for in solo queue. But I think that it's just very easy for them to play this game in team fights. It's always just like, okay, throw Norla's Hook, if it lands, go. Throw Maokai Ult, if it lands, go. You know, Kennen TP flank, go. It's just very straightforward from them, whereas like Bliss, they have to land these very like nice engages with like Leona, as we do see them coming into River here if Hexflash just want to go for the ult.
Simply put, the ease of execution for Ion is just that much better than what TB have to offer in retaliation. Aladork, the focus right now, goes in for a solo flare. Zenith Blade, Jovi dropped to 50, but that is all she wrote on this occasion. Violet completely zoned away from the fight, was able to chuck out an ultimate and get people low, but yeah, Ion were able to actually find the mark.
Yeah, so Ion does find the kill down to Aladork, but I don't think he is too upset with going down there. They've used so many resources, you know, the Varus ult and all ults, but now that his AD carry feels much safer to play the game, his mid laner feels much safer to play the game. They got the vision that they wanted. Unfortunately went down, but it's still a little win in the end for them that they got that control, and now their AD carries feel a bit safer to farm. Or their carries feel safe to farm, sorry.
Always like it when a carry feels safe to farm. You know, just get to vibe out, ignore everybody on the map, say, oh, you're going up to Herald? That's cool. I'm just going to keep farming these waves. You know, just a happy farmer living a regular 9-to-5 lifestyle. And I suppose that's all an AD carry wants at the end of the day. It's just the freedom to not be ganked by these top laners that have 14 levels above them. Hence probably why this patch was a case of, let's make sure that AD carries no longer cry. Let's see, though, what he's actually going to opt for is the first strike, right? So you would expect this lethality variation to be fully built into, should then be able to match the range, at least, that the Caitlyn has in that same vein. But they're still going to take a little bit of time to truly come into the picture. Obviously, they can spike quite early from that one item breakpoint, but we're truly waiting for that full 5v5 once we've dragged down the likes of Bio and Doraemon.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a while before we get to see that 5v5. It's probably going to be a lot of skirmishes. Everyone just wants to to get farm. No one really wants to play the drop waves right now and, you know, group and look for engages, which aren't, you know, guaranteed plays. And I think there's something really important to talk about is that, you know, dropping resources for stuff that isn't guaranteed is, you know, a mistake that a lot of people make. They assume the enemy's gonna, you know, make an error that shouldn't really happen, and they waste a lot of time on the map. So it's always important to be efficient, stay on the map as much as possible, farm as much as possible, and only really, you know, put yourself out of position to punish, you know, stuff that should be guaranteed.
We're incredibly active. Looking to try and do just that, Dali, is the punishment of, okay, if you step up for one single creep wave, we will be there to make sure you're forced to burn, be it a summoner or a crucial ability to get yourself out of a precarious position like just that. No vision for Bliss to look at towards the second Drake. Obviously, they got the first one, but not going to be too upset about rushing a Dragon Soul anytime soon. Both the support's going to look to try and make matters worse. Kevy pounces in, instant regret, flashes out, Solar Flare is there. Aladoric going to get chased on down by double ultimate, so no escape for him. And that will be his second death of the game.
Yeah, this is really curious to see. So Bliss is like splitting up, trying to contest his objectives. I think Kevy was just, you know, playing for the steal, going, he throwing the spear on the dragon, going over, trying to smite, fight, flash out. You know, he doesn't really think that he needs his flash for the next 5 minutes. But then we have Aladoric walking into river and positioning for a contest. So we just see the fight happening in top lane. I think this does favor Bio very heavily.
And it's looking pretty good for Bio right now as he just completely soaks up that slicing Maelstrom and says, that's nice, but I'm getting stronger and stronger. That 20 CS deficit now becomes 10. And things becoming a little bit better now for their star top laner to contend with. Elsewhere on the map, still aggression primarily through that mid lane, as the AD carries really are just still stuck in their own La La land of identical CS and just witnessing the chaos all across the rift.
Jovi does have access to TP and he just recalled. We'll have to see if he does commit it here.
Rimon, he's tried to juke everything. A spear, a Zenith Blade, just too much at the end. Koe is here, but then Jovi TP's in to try and say we can get one back. Counter-Strike buying crucial seconds. The auto-attack's being denied. The exhaust, is it enough? Bio's still alive! And I think he bought just enough time as the ace in the hole is going to snipe off Jovi. As everybody, apart from Harry, is going to be dragged up into this fight, into this carnage. Harry says, well, that's cool. I'm just going to split push. I just want to become individually stronger. As Aladoric has nowhere left to turn or hide.
Yeah, he's going to fall down here, but we do see Bliss, you know, going for this play on top side, and Harry's like, all right, good luck, guys. I'm TPing to bot. I've had enough, you know, of a hard time trying to farm mid lane. He's going to go get gold. He's going to get CS. Like, he knows he wants to get as strong as possible, so he's able to, you know, play these side lanes. And I think that's the most important thing for Bliss right now is getting strong side lanes. They have the Jax and the Yone, and that's one of their major win conditions is being able to force the Tristana and get it out of the side lanes because 5v5s are just way too much for them to handle right now.
Far too strong and far too difficult, and nearly ability there for Team Bliss to not only attack bot lane, but also through the mid as well. Doraemon respecting that, keeping in, but easily gets dropped to 50% HP thanks to a nice little trap from his brother in Violet. And the pressure continues to build up as yet another member is forced to disengage away. Mid lane clearly the emphasis. Let's run it back with this replay top lane because it really is Dodge Simulator.
Yeah, we see Doraemon like fall down here because he overextended, lost the 1v1. We see the TP come through from Jovi though. Very good from Collie to read that this play is going to happen. He waits for the counter-strike to drop, jumps in. I think that he, you know, maybe misclicked a few orders here because it did take a long time for the Shax to fall down, but he is so strong right now that he's going to do so much damage when left alone. And it's really unfortunate, actually, that that ult went straight past Hex Flash. That's 2 for 2. We've seen him, you know, completely fail to block Caitlyn ults right next to him. So I don't know if we're going to have to go back to the replay and review there and talk about, you know, how to stand in front of Caitlyn ults because this should not be landing.
Maybe we need a new segment where we just bring up the VAR, we get the replay and say, all right, yep, I'll allow it, yep, you are not getting a red card on this occasion for a criminal offense of not protecting your fallen teammate. Either way, Shelly's going to rock up to the party. Ace in the hole's going to go out. He has done it, so that entire narrative is out the window, but that turret is going to get dropped low enough. And 4 members being here are still going to persist. And Stick says, watch this. I'm a flanking AD carry. Goodbye, Kevy. You've been smashed by Lethality Varus. Out comes the slicing Maelstrom. Doraemon hanging on for dear life with the ability to try and run away with that Proto Bow, but it's not enough.
He's here.
The Zonias, he's far too squishy, but everybody now from Bliss is rocking up. It is the cavalry here to play cleanup crew, but double found by Sticks. Both summoners committed for it, and he lives to tell the tale.
Ooh, they are honestly, Anu is extremely lucky that Harry's ult was not up on time there. He went in, it had 5 seconds left on the cooldown, so he, you know, it comes up as he wants to play for the escape. So that's a nice little kill he secures there and an easy path out.
Mid lane then, I'm the first to redeploy after that victory in that skirmish, and they're going to say, well, we can answer back with a second turret, continue to match you and make sure that this gold lead is not shifting, not snowballing anytime soon.
Yeah, as we do go into the replay here, you can see like this is the problem with Nidalee. It's just you're so squishy. He didn't get a lead in the early game, and he's just able to pull in. Team Bliss actually want to commit forward after their jungler does fall down here. They are playing with the numbers disadvantage, but they know that their mid laner is coming, so any play that does happen, he's going to be able to clean this up regardless. Jovi unfortunately wasn't here on time either, so yeah, both mid laners just come up the end to like try to pick up some scraps.
It's a nice ult there, just really clipping it across that red camp to get out to safety, make sure that nobody else is going to fall down on that occasion. You can see Aladoric, you know, so resigned to death, bit 10%, says, yep, I'll send it in. We can surely answer back in some favourable fashion. But this has been a really interesting game, to be quite frank, Ali. 20 minutes in, a 1k lead.
The game, there's just so much going on the map that is, you know, making Bliss's game plan fall apart just from the start.
Yeah, firefighter Kevy certainly has his work cut out for him on this occasion. 0-3, not a happy scoreline to reflect on, but we'll be hoping, no doubt, that this game goes late enough that Primal Rage Heal will buff up Violet or Hayri to win and save the day. We'll have to see what happens, though, because now there is that sort of mid to late game situation. Things become a little bit scarier as to how clean are you with the macro. I'm sure you're a little bit upset looking at Jovi's build with that coming out as second, but we'll forget about it. IE will still be there waiting for Boris to dish out later on into this game. And Bliss say, well, we know we're not strong enough. We'll go for the split push. You can have that dragon.
Yeah, I think that the one thing for Bliss right now is that it is a Cloud Soul. They're not too worried about like, oh, we have to give over this important dragon because Cloud Soul's not that impactful this game. It is extremely strong with the Kennen and Maokai though. I will mention that. Like, we don't want to see this Kennen with the Cloud Soul TP flanking 1000 move speed just blowing up your team. You know, that's really scary. But Bliss are going to prioritize getting gold, getting side lane turrets, and you know, just making sure they're able to match the power coming out of Ion right now.
Nice buffer on the rocket jump again, making sure the Counter-Strike stun wasn't going to connect onto Jovi as he looks to try and take down yet another turret, opening up all three outers. The map becomes bigger, those TP flanks become better, and the ability for Ion to keep cool and calm under this pressure of like, you've got a lead, how long can you sustain it for? I mean, it's there, and yeah, I am really curious as to at what point we truly get that 5v5, because it feels like it's brewing up for a massive Baron fight.
Yeah, definitely. Something to mention, though, as well, is that, like, I would say Team Bliss's individual champions outscale their counterparts, but I think Ion's comp as a whole outscales and counters what Bliss wants to do in the 5v5. As we do see the TP coming out of Kennen here, and this is what I'm talking about, the TP flank with the Slicing Maelstrom with the flash.
This is the dream situation. You turn around, flash, oh, lock them all in place and hit a devastating combo onto multiple members. It's a bit of a Smeb cosplay here as he's doing criminal amounts, but at the same time, they're not winning the fight, Telly. Team Bliss stood strong, they stood resilient, and they answer back with multiple casualties to be favouring them. Yes, Styx can get a double, but at the end, if they're coming at you, a Lethality Varus can't do much more than that.
Yeah, exactly. They find the engage they want, they find Violet, they take him down, he can't even blow any of his summons before he falls down, but the true solo lanes coming out of Bliss just have a free reign onto the back line of Ion. We'll have to see what really happened there in the replay, as I do believe they're going to be able to pick up a pretty easy Baron here. The damage coming out of the Yone and Jax nearly will make this a pretty easy skewer.
Should be, for sure, so much damage. And has Jovi got anything left in the tank trying to answer to this one? He has the flash available to him. He has the TP if his HP gets low enough to rejoin the fight, but he pokes his head into the pip and realizes, yep, there's no 1v3 situation for me. Harry's going to make sure that you are definitely not looking to try and clutch it on this occasion as the hook goes out from Hexflash just for good measure, and the Baron is secure. So just like that, what was an incredibly close game, now up by 4k.
Yeah, as we do go into the replay, you can see like straight away the TP flank, the engage coming out. The really nice ult flash coming out of Hex Flash as well to, you know, make sure he gets as much easy as possible. But I think it's just a bit of an overcommittal here coming out of Ion. We see Styx trying to take out priority targets and putting himself in a position where he's susceptible to just getting taken out by Biopanther. And Jax at this point, there's no CC left to mark him right now, and they just have free reign on the backline.
Yeah, far too easy at the tail end of that, wants to pick off the stragglers and to run everybody down. It's going to look a lot better then for Kevy to find himself established into this one, given how rough it was from the very get-go. But Harry has been quietly achieving right. Rough laning phase, but 4-0-2, the only person deathless in this game in a draft that you said was a little bit rough for the unit to try and navigate.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard draft to navigate, but he's got, at this point, I think he's sitting pretty, you know, he's got the Frozen Fist, he's got the Tenacity coming out the Wit's End, so he's going to have a much easier job in his team fights. He can always, you know, buff the CC with the E and the Fate Unsealed to make sure that he is, you know, in the right spot when these team fights start.
Let's see if another team fight were to break out here. Caitlyn traps obviously make it so easy to set up for these Siege as the Baron push begins. 5 turrets to 3 now, as they'll say, well, that's the second turret in the bot lane. Let's just go to another wave, perfectly synced up for us to move into in mids, and completely force Ion to match us. They aren't allowed to be proactive whatsoever. I will note, though, that Harry isn't grouped with the rest of this team. For what feels like the majority of this game, he's like, I'll just split push and force Ion to always respond.
This is exactly what he wants to be doing and exactly what Bliss want to do as a team. They want to force these guys to go to side as much as possible. They don't want to do a straight up 5v5 unless they're forced into it. They want to, you know, create numbers advantages. We see Harry go for the ult forward there. If that did land, that would have been the end of Jovi. As it is anyway.
It is indeed. Yeah, he had the flash. He used the buster shot. Thought that was enough, but on this occasion, it just was not to be the case. So the split push tactics have worked beautifully in Bliss's favor, and now the siege to look at breaking open the base becomes that much easier.
Yeah, this is just snowballed from as a really nice hook comes through onto Violet.
Yeah, it certainly does. Shiny Corruptions there afterwards. Follow that up by Maokai. And a fantastic twisted advance to break through any kind of CC coming his way. But a second fight in a row then. Violets aren't able to play this game. The heal into Alador is just simply not enough there from Kevy as he answers back by taking down the cannon. And finally, they finish what they started and they do take down the turret.
And it doesn't even matter what Violet does in these fights. I don't think he's got an auto-attack off in the last 2 fights, and his team has just absolutely crushed the enemy. So this series to show how strong the solo laners are, and the jungle match of Kevy is for Bliss.
That it certainly is. One inhibitor becomes nearly a second as that drops low, but not low enough for him to stick around and greet it. And they will, with the last stretch of that Baron buff, use it to inspire the recall back to base.
Yeah, as we do see like this hook coming out of Hexblast, I thought this was a very insane timing on the minion dying. Violet does get caught here, but was able to react with the flash in time, be able to create some distance. But he's just unable to do any damage in these fights. He keeps falling down, but once again, like the backline of Ion is just left exposed, like Styx is forced to flash out the fight. Bio's just doing so much work with Kevy's damage to just, you know, win these fights extremely comfortably.
Now I'm going to throw out like a random point here, but do you feel like this is a world in which on-hit Varus is better given the diving nature of Bliss, or it's just par of the course, right? You're 7-1 as a lethality Varus, you're incredibly strong. That's just the nature of the beast.
There is a case for it, definitely, because your team wants to engage. They don't want to stand like around and, you know, wait for you to like, all right, let me hit a couple of Qs, let me hit a nice chain of corruption, get someone low. They want to go in straight away because they don't want to wait, you know, for an even worse scenario where like the Yone is pushed out of side wave, has a nice flank. It's all about, you know, pulling the trigger very fast. So I can definitely see a case for like playing for the lethality Varus, I mean the on-hit Varus. So you see Fire going in 1v5.
He really is at this stage, isn't it? They're calling in as many boys as they can rally up as the TP comes in. Both bring them all. I am the Avengers. I am Thanos. I'll snap my hands and I'll take down one for 40 seconds. And the rest of my team, look what they get accomplished, Telly. They open up mid, they prep a wave top, and Ion, I mean, they look like headless chickens running all over the show.
Yeah, and Bio has done his job there. He's found the solo kill, he's blown a TP. We'll have to see how much Bliss want to go for though, because, you know, Doraemon will have access to the TP in 20 seconds. No slicing Maelstrom though, so it'll be pretty hard to find another nice TP flank with the ult.
Somehow find this pseudo-tank Yone pick, then that's 1k going into their back pocket.
Yeah, honestly, just a very, very nice, like, disciplined performance from Harry. Like, he did so good to navigate the throw that they did in the early game. He did a really good job in his 1v1 to just stem the bleeding, make sure he's still strong in the mid game, and then, you know, it's just snowballed from the fact that, like, okay, you guys are going to go for fights consistently. I'm going to TP the side lanes. I'm going to take turrets. I'm going to get a CS lead. Because I know when I hit my item spikes, I will take over this game.
We hit yet another breakpoint in that, right, with the Immortal Shield Bow being picked up. So this is an incredibly tanky Yone Edges. I joked about it earlier, right, talking about like the Sunfire Cape once upon a time. He says, watch this game. I'm going to show you a brand new variation of just that. Soul Stealer, the Magi is actually being picked up by Kevy. Really is feeling himself now that the later stages of this game have come into effect. But we're checking with the overall gold one more time. And as we've been mentioning, it is the Yone at the top of those charts. But it is Styx still, because he is 7-1, Tally, absolutely crushing it.
Yeah, he is insanely fed on the Varus, but I think this is a story that we keep seeing in these lethality Varus just unable to output the DPS they need when they're so fed. As we see Alador looking for an engagement on the Zobi.
Oh, that's really well done there by Jovi, dodging literally everything in the horror maze. But unfortunately, at the end, there's still more CC to come. The Solar Flare locks him down. The Ace in the Hole takes out his brother. Violet gets one up and says you can eat those scraps both in game and at the dinner table. And now they rocket straight into the base at the 30-minute mark. They say we've done enough damage. Those inhibitors aren't respawning for another few minutes now. So let's just escort this wave in and finish this game.
Yeah, and this is like one of the problems with lethality Varus is like if the enemy team just hard engages onto you, you will not do the same DPS as an auto-attacking AD carry. Like your Q is not that low of a cooldown. You're going to keep throwing this poke out, but it's just not doing the damage that you really think. As he might be able to force them off this turret here. We'll have to see if Bliss are confident to still end this game when Styx is up. The Nexus is going to be exposed, and I think that you know, they feel confident to end this game here.
Seems to be the way as they respawn back in. Frantically they hunt. The TP was guaranteed that the super was going to stay alive, so they were guaranteed to do extra damage, and at the 30-minute mark, Bliss do put a bow on it. But I tell you what, Ion certainly made them work for it, and I think it's still all to play for going into Game 2.
Yeah, Ion definitely made them work for it. I think they had a good showing, you know, in team fights to really snowball the Sparrows. It's just unfortunate. Probably wasn't the right champion to have all that gold there against that team, but I think that very well played by Bliss, very well played by Harry in particular to just have a really good performance that game.
But let's see what the